So what we're going to talk about in this video is core stability, and really importantly the concept of activation and execution of core stability rather than strength or endurance. So I meet a lot of people who have perhaps had an injury in the past. Maybe the physio has said, you need more strength, you need more endurance, and so we start to assess them. They come along to us, and we're going to make them safe. We're going to teach them how to do things well. And actually, one of the earlier parts of the assessment is they have a lot more strength and endurance than they think, but what they don't have is the ability to really use the core properly, to execute core stability before exerting forces in exercises. We're just going to have a quick look at that now. Because I think it's something that you don't see a lot of. I see loads of instruction, loads and loads of exercises, and I think, if you don't execute that the right way, you're going to aggravate your back and things like that, or just recruit the wrong muscles. And so let's take a look at it. Let's have a look at a plank position. So plank position, we're up here. We're kind of almost inertly stable because we're on 4 pillars, right? There's some pressure down through the body. The core switch is on to hold that line. So the correct position is not to be sunk through, but to be up here, not to be tipped up. Otherwise, more weight is going hands and feet, but instead for the abs to have to hold this line. Now, I said I was quite inertly stable. I've got 4 pillars. Now, let's have a look at this exercise, where it's a glute exercise, and it's quite a dynamic core stability, or dynamic high plank as well. I'm going to activate my glute and lift my leg up behind me and put it back down. And let's say I activate my glute, my buttock, lift my leg up behind me and put it back down. And here is a really good way to express this idea of execution. So basically the core should fire first to give me stability. It's a bit like clutch control. When my leg goes to move away, if my core fires first and I lift up, then my glutes make the movement, my abs here will switch on, and then when I lift that leg, my body can kind of anchor that effort, and the core will give me this soft embrace and stability around the middle. If I move the leg fast and I don't engage core first, what's likely to happen is all these muscles, which are spinal erectors, actually what happens very often is that the body then reaches for something it's more familiar with, and it starts anchoring a movement where it's looking for a stabilizer like the core, but it will anchor that using another mover like the back. So here we are, right? And I lift my leg up, buttock fires, I lift the leg back behind me. Now, what should happen is just before that movement, I should kind of stabilize, like take a soft but sort of firm embrace. As I lift that leg away, a lot of stability goes and instability starts. The body tries to anchor and fix that. And what we want is for that anchoring and fixing to come from the center, kind of out. That's what I mean by execution. So if you do this well, then the core fires first, and then the movement begins. So we get here, switch this on, buttock fires, and I lift that leg away, and my core fires before I take the load of that leg, because that leg's quite heavy. When I start to lift it up, if my core is off, then actually I'm going to feel the weight of it all in my back. But if just before I lift that leg, I fire the core, then I'll get a much greater degree of tension as I take on that load. But my core will do the stabilising, and my back, which in this situation shouldn't really be the muscles I use to kind of anchor the weight of my leg, my back can stay relaxed. Yeah, it's a lot like clutch control. So as I start to lift that leg, I start to get load coming through my body. The question is, what's going to respond? If we put this somewhere else, like say we put this on the back, and you get these exercises, you see a lot of them where people are doing things like putting the leg out, and maybe even putting the other leg out, right? Now once those legs are out, there's a lot of weight here on the pelvis, and what it wants to do is tip up and create an arch. These exercises, executed badly, they aggravate the arch, and they also, what happens is that once my leg goes out, what I really want, when this other leg goes out and the load really, really increases, is I want these core muscles between my rib cage and my pelvis to hold my position, right? And it holds it nice and tight, and that's the muscle I want to do it. What you don't want to happen is you don't want these hip flexors to turn on, because if the body seeks to anchor that position by switching these on, then those go straight to your lower back, and it's going to aggravate your back. Plus, it's not really a core exercise anymore, it's here. So you see a lot of exercises, and I guess the worst among them would be these, right? Down and back up, and down and back up. What I mean by the worst about them is, if as I go down, and the demand on my core to really hold this position against that increasing amount of energy and force as the legs go down, the demand here gets greater and greater. I should respond with more and more core strength and tension. What tends to happen is, in poor execution, regardless of whether I have the strength or not, my hips turn on, right? My hips try to hold my leg. It is natural enough, because that's that job, right? There's a muscle here for lifting this hip muscle, for lifting this leg up and down, but that's not what we want to work in this exercise. So when I'm here, and I put one leg out, and then I put another one out, I want to work from here, locking pelvis and ribcage from the centre, right? If my hips fire up and my core is off, I get that. So, to summarise, there's a couple of things going on there. One is, am I strong enough to do it? And to be fair, this kind of exercise where the legs are up, you do have to be really, really strong in the core to be able to fix pelvis, rib cage, and that shape of the lower back, all from this kind of central region where you've got layer upon layer of muscle that all need to work together. Yes, you do need to be strong, but you will never be able to develop that strength if you're using the wrong muscles to do the exercises you're attempting to develop that strength with. So what we do is, say for example we want to teach someone how to activate the core, then let's take this one. Lifting rib cage up first of all is really good, so we've got no load on hips, but we can get good load. It's really easy to locate that one because the rib cage is quite heavy, and it comes up and this all switches on. And then this idea of one at a time is another really, really good way to sort of locate that. So as I straighten this leg, I'm going to try to engage with this, get my clutch control, the increasing amount of force and action to really, really come from here. And importantly, I'm going to be very careful not to dominate from there. I'm going to look out for that feedback. So I take this leg and I stretch it out, and I can feel that this is what I'm concentrating on. Now my hip is relaxed at this point. It might not be if I wasn't deliberately trying. Now when I take this second leg away, so much is going to change. That's when it becomes very, very, very difficult. And if I do, this is when I don't want the hips to switch on, right? This is where I'm going to need lots of tension, because this pelvis is going to want to arch up. So I get that leg ready, I push out, bang, switch on, and I can really feel it's all here. These feel completely relaxed. I've been in a lot of classes where a lot of movements are being moved, you know, ab exercises like this. Yeah, they're fine, as long as it's coming from here. If you're making that movement and your legs extend out and what you feel is tension at the hips, you're going to potentially really hurt your back, and you're not really going to train your core. So it's all about feedback and tuning in. If we go back to our plank, we've got a similar thing. So in that exercise, the risk is the hips turn on. In this, that we looked at to begin with, what we've got is the risk that the back, all of these muscles, try to hold us. But if the core responds and switches on and increases its work in response to the demand, then the core holds us nicely. And that's what we want to do. Now that is crucially a skill. You can build the strength, but without a skill, it's not going to happen anyway. You're not going to turn the right muscles on. These two exercises, let's have a look at this one. So I gently activate my glutes. I look out for the internal feedback. I pay attention to what's going on in my body. Abs stay switched on, raise the leg, and the extra stability I need, because I lost a position on the floor from that leg, comes from where I want it to, from my abs, and not from all of these muscles up along my back. So that's crucial. Now where this translates is to all sorts of things. So the core, for example, is used not just to stabilise, but to transfer forces. So if you catch something, turn and throw it, then here in the centre is where you want stability first. So in a way, the body should produce energy and force, and it stabilises in order to create a good base for which the movers will create power and motion. That's when you're safe. So a lot of the people who arrive with one injury or another, where they've been told you need more core strength, what's often missing from that conversation is the idea of not just strength, but to be taught in such a way that you can learn the feedback and you can really feel what is or isn't activating. A good start for this, a really good place to begin, is these. So you're lying here. I always think that this is nice to lift the head up slightly, raise the rib cage because it switches this on. And then these ones where you just let one leg down and then raise it back up, and one leg down and raise it back up. It's really nicely regressed. It's a million miles from this kind of thing, and it's a million miles from that kind of thing. Yeah? Just down there. And what you're looking for, the first thing I think we should be teaching is to feel, where is this work? How can I get that engagement? And then as the body moves, the load comes on, and I should respond like clutch control. As the load, as the requirement for energy and tension and strength comes up, then the actual strength and force my abs are producing should come up with it. And if you learn to do that, then you can start to learn to look at other exercises, like being able to raise one leg up there, and then raise the other leg. When that leg comes up, it should be slow. If you move your body fast, you're that much more likely to switch on the big movers rather than the stabilizers. The stabilizers need a time, they need a chance to respond. So this leg, this other leg, I'm going to take it up slowly. And even before the heel leaves the floor, I feel a change in demand, right? And I respond to that change in demand, and I turn my core on, and I go from here, not from there. If I fire that leg up quickly, then my hips switch on and my back switches on. And that exercise is quite advanced, but the difference very often between someone being able to perform it is not their strength or their endurance, it's their ability to get feedback and to execute so that they get kind of stabilizing tension centrally first.